Have you ever trusted someone only to discover they were playing you all along? What if I told you there are certain innocent-sounding questions that manipulators use not to connect with you, but to control you? Today, you're going to uncover what most people never see coming. And after this, you'll never hear these questions the same way again. Trust, once broken, is incredibly hard to rebuild, especially when it's been shattered by someone who lies with precision. The damage they cause isn't always loud or obvious. In fact, it often begins with a simple question. Not just any question, but the kind that seems harmless on the surface, while secretly testing your boundaries and setting you up for betrayal. These questions aren't random. They're carefully chosen tools used by deceptive people to appear genuine while slowly weaving their manipulation. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 specific questions that should immediately make you pause. If someone asks you these, it could be a sign that they're trying to earn your trust, just so they can exploit it. And the scariest part? They do it so subtly that you may not even realize it's happening until it's too late. These tactics show up in romantic relationships, at work, in friendships, even in casual conversations with people you barely know. But once you learn how to recognize these red flags, you'll feel like you've unlocked a sixth sense, something that helps you spot dishonesty before it can sink its teeth into your life. Most people have fallen for these tricks at some point. If you have too, don't blame yourself. This video isn't just about awareness. It's about reclaiming your power. Now that you know what's at stake, let's dive into the first question manipulators love to ask, and why it's far more dangerous than it seems. Earlier, we uncovered how manipulators often start with seemingly innocent questions designed to flip the script and make you feel guilty. Now let's go deeper into one of the most common and dangerous phrases they use. It's important you don't skip any part of this video. Each question we break down reveals another layer of how skilled liars operate. Every piece connects, like a puzzle. If you're short on time, feel free to watch at 1.5x or 2x speed, but don't skip ahead. Because once time and trust is lost, there's no getting it back. Alright, let's dive into the first red flag question that should instantly trigger your inner warning system. It's short, it's subtle, and it's surprisingly effective. Don't you trust me? Just 4 words. But they carry a heavy manipulative punch. Have you ever questioned someone's story only to be hit with this phrase? In a flash, they shift the focus. Suddenly, you're no longer examining their suspicious behavior. You're now defending yourself. That's the trick. It's not a genuine question. It's a trap. They're not asking for trust, they're demanding it, while dodging accountability. It's like catching a kid with cookie crumbs on their face, and instead of answering where the cookies went, they ask, "Don't you believe me?" The goal is simple: distract you from the truth and make you question your judgment. This tactic is everywhere. A partner vanishes for hours and responds, "Don't you trust me?" when you ask where they've been. A coworker misses a deadline and throws out, "Don't you trust I'll get it done?" A friend who still owes you money asks for more, topping it off with, "What, you don't trust me?" What makes this question so dangerous is that it preys on your sense of guilt. Saying no feels mean. Questioning someone feels like you're violating an unspoken social rule. So what do most people do? They step back. They apologize. They brush off their valid concerns. But next time this happens, watch closely. Look at the person's body language. Are they crossing their arms, raising their voice, avoiding your actual question? They may even try to bring up past moments where they were reliable, anything to dodge the current issue. Here's a better response. don't get defensive. Instead, calmly say, "This isn't about trust. I'm asking about a specific situation." Or even better, trust is built through transparency, not by avoiding questions. That line, it's powerful. And it reminds both you and them that trust isn't owed. It's earned. So, to recap, the first question liars use to dodge responsibility is, "Don't you trust me?" Now that you know what it really means, you'll never fall for it again. And that brings us to the second manipulative question on our list. One that's even more subtle, but just as deceptive. Let's take a closer look. So now that you've seen how manipulators use "don't you trust me" to flip the narrative, it's time to look at another common phrase, one that's just as slippery, but often flies under the radar. The second manipulative question you need to watch out for is, why would I lie about that? At first glance, it sounds innocent, even logical. But don't be fooled. This phrase is one of the smoothest tools in a liar's playbook. It doesn't invite honest conversation. It's meant to create doubt not in them, but in you. I once saw this play out firsthand. A close friend confronted her boyfriend after finding suspicious text messages. Instead of explaining, he shot back, "Why would I lie about something so small?" Her expression said it all, confusion mixed with self-doubt. That question wasn't about resolving the issue. It was a clever misdirection. Here's what really happens. When someone asks, "Why would I lie about that?" they're not giving you proof. They're subtly implying that there's no logical reason for them to lie. And because the question sounds so rational, it tricks your brain into assuming they must be telling the truth. It feels like transparency, but in reality, it's a smokescreen. Instead of answering your concern, they create the illusion of openness. It's like holding up a mirror and saying, "See? No secrets here." But behind the mirror, the truth is still hidden. And let's be clear, people lie for all kinds of reasons. To dodge consequences, protect their image, gain an advantage, or sometimes simply because they think they can get away with it. This manipulation shows up everywhere. A salesperson oversells a product and when questioned, replies, "Why would I lie and risk my reputation?" A child denies breaking something obvious and says, "Why would I lie when you were going to find out anyway?" Or a politician gets caught in a contradiction and responds, "Why would I lie about something that's public record?" What's especially sneaky? Many liars throw out this question before you've even accused them of anything. That kind of early defensiveness isn't a sign of honesty, it's a preemptive move to shut you down. They're trying to get ahead of your suspicion and make you feel unreasonable for even asking. When faced with this tactic, don't argue motives. Refocus on facts. Calmly say, "I'm not accusing you. I just want to understand what really happened." Or, "This isn't about trust or lies. I'm just looking for clarity." These types of responses keep the conversation grounded and help you avoid being dragged into a defensive spiral. Most importantly, they stop you from being gaslighted into doubting your own instincts. So if someone hits you with, "Why would I lie about that?" recognize it for what it is, a subtle strategic distraction, and don't let it pull you off course. Now that you're aware of this tactic, let's move on to the third question that liars use to twist reality even further. And trust me, it's one you've definitely heard before so far. We've exposed how manipulators deflect blame and twist logic with phrases like, "Why would I lie about that?" But now, it's time to uncover a question that doesn't sound like manipulation at all, because it's wrapped in the illusion of trust. Let's talk about the third question liars often use. Can you keep a secret? At first, it feels flattering, like you're being trusted with something private, like you're being invited into an inner circle. And that's exactly what makes this question so powerful and so dangerous. What seems like a harmless request is actually a carefully designed tactic. It's not just about your ability to stay quiet. It's about how easily your personal boundaries can be bent. Once you say yes, and most people do, because saying no feels rude, you're locked into an unspoken agreement. You're now the keeper of information that could make you uncomfortable, betray others, or even put your own values at risk. Just like that, you've been turned into an unintentional accomplice. Let's break this down. Imagine a coworker leans in and says, "Can you keep a secret? I wasn't supposed to say this, but..." Or a friend whispers, "Can you keep a secret? I heard what they really think about you." Or even worse, a partner casually admits, "Can you keep a secret? I've been messaging my ex, but it's harmless." In all of these cases, you're not just being told a secret, you're being tested. Will you overlook something inappropriate? Will you participate in gossip? Will you protect their actions, even when they cross a line? Your reaction tells the manipulator everything they need to know about your boundaries and whether you're someone they can control. So how do you spot the trap? Pay attention. Does the person seem a little too eager to spill something private? Are they violating someone else's trust just to share this with you? Does the secret seem designed to change how you feel about someone else? These aren't just red flags, they're bait. When someone asks you, "Can you keep a secret?" and it doesn't feel right, you have every right to draw the line. Try saying, "I'd rather not keep something that could put me in a tough spot," or "I believe in being honest in all my relationships." Or even just ask, "Why does this need to be kept a secret?" By doing that, you protect yourself. You stay out of emotional triangulation, where manipulators pass information between people to stir up division and drama. You stay grounded in your integrity, and that's powerful. Because here's the truth. People who value you won't ask you to carry secrets that compromise your peace. So next time someone leans in with that whisper, you'll feel a pause, and that tiny moment of hesitation may be the very thing that saves you. The third question liars love to use, "Can you keep a secret?" Now that you recognize the game, you'll know exactly how to handle it. Next, we move into the fourth question, a phrase that pretends to be vulnerable, but is actually a setup for manipulation. Let's break it down. Now that we've exposed the manipulative charm behind "Can you keep a secret?" it's time to confront a much more direct and forceful tactic, one that immediately puts you on the defensive and can quickly unravel trust if you're not prepared. Let's dive into the fourth question manipulators use, "Who told you that?" At first, it may sound like a harmless request for context, but make no mistake. This question is not about curiosity. It's about control. When someone asks, "Who told you that?" they're not interested in resolving the issue you've brought up. They're trying to trace the source. Why? So they can discredit, silence, or eliminate it. It's not a conversation, it's a hunt for the leak. Think of it like a general trying to root out a spy before more truth escapes. The shift in tone is powerful and dangerous. Suddenly, you become the one under scrutiny, as if you've done something wrong just by knowing something. The moment you share information that catches them off guard, their defense turns to offense, and the pressure starts building. This question carries an unspoken threat. Not necessarily physical, but social, emotional, or even professional. It's meant to make you feel guilty, or to make your source feel unsafe. The goal is to stop the flow of truth. Think about how this plays out in real life. A manager caught in a lie might snap. Which employee said that? A partner caught cheating demands. Who told you that about me? A toxic friend challenges you. Who's been poisoning your mind against me? Each time, the same trick is at play. Shift the focus from their actions to your information. It's not about whether what you know is true. It's about who told you and how to make them pay. And if you watch closely, the body language that follows is just as revealing. Their tone may sharpen. They might lean in, eyes narrowing. Some get loud and aggressive. Others go eerily calm, like a storm about to hit. Either way, they're watching your every word, waiting for you to crack. So what should you do? Don't engage with the trap. Instead, redirect the conversation with responses like, "That's not relevant to the issue we're discussing. Multiple people have mentioned it." Or simply, "I think it's more important to focus on whether it's true, not where it came from." By doing this, you protect your ability to gather insight without exposing your sources. You also cut off the manipulator's attempt to isolate you from the people who support you. Because isolation is one of their strongest weapons. Recognizing this tactic is about more than identifying a manipulative question. It's about reclaiming control of your reality. You're not just protecting information, you're protecting your entire support system. Now, let's move into the final question, one that might sound like a plea for understanding, but is often used to shut down accountability. And it's one many of us have heard, probably more than once. As we just saw when someone asks, "Who told you that?" It's rarely about understanding, it's about control. They're not trying to solve a problem. They're trying to manage the narrative. And now, you know how to respond in a way that protects your power and your peace. That brings us to the fifth and final question, a subtle but deeply manipulative phrase that can shake your confidence to its core. Let me ask you this. Have you ever found yourself second-guessing your own memory after a conversation? Maybe a partner swore you agreed to something you don't remember. Or a coworker blamed you for a mistake you're sure you didn't make. Or perhaps a family member twisted a past event to make you look like the problem. That sinking feeling where you start wondering, "Wait, am I going crazy?" is exactly what this question is designed to trigger. The fifth question is, don't you remember? It might sound like a harmless prompt, but in the hands of a manipulator, it becomes a weapon. This is a classic gaslighting tactic. It's not about helping you recall a forgotten moment. It's about rewriting reality and getting you to doubt your own mind. Here's why it's so effective. We all know that memory isn't perfect. We've forgotten things before. So when someone confidently insists you've forgotten something important, your brain begins to question itself. It creates internal tension, also known as cognitive dissonance. And that tension opens the door for them to insert their version of the truth. Let's look at a few ways this shows up. A partner says, "Don't you remember? We talked about this last week," even though that conversation never happened. Boss claims, "Don't you remember I told you the deadline changed?" To cover their own poor planning. A friend insists, "Don't you remember how awful they were to you?" To push you away from someone they don't like. This tactic can be subtle or extreme, but the pattern is the same. The person speaks with total certainty about events you don't recall. They might act concerned or annoyed about your forgetfulness. They'll often give specific details, dates, locations, even your supposed reactions to make their story seem more convincing. But here's the key. These versions of events always seem to benefit them. It's never neutral. It always shifts blame, creates doubt, or changes your perception in their favor. So how do you respond? Try saying, "That doesn't match my recollection, but let's focus on facts we can verify." Or, "I keep notes on important conversations, and I don't have any record of that." Or even, "Let's talk about what's happening now instead of debating the past." These kinds of responses help you stay grounded in your reality. They protect your confidence and keep the conversation from spiraling into endless arguments about who remembers what. Recognizing, "Don't you remember?" as a tool of manipulation is one of the most powerful mental defenses you can have. Because once you know the game, you can stop playing it. You don't need to convince anyone of your truth. You just need to stop letting them rewrite it. And now that you've learned the 5 questions liars use most frequently, let's take a moment to recap and make sure these red flags are burned into memory where they can protect you forever. So now that you've seen how "don't you remember" can shake your confidence and distort your reality, it's the perfect time to pause and reflect. Think back to a moment when someone asked you that very question. How did it make you feel? Did you start to second-guess yourself, your memory, your instincts? Now that you're aware of the game, ask yourself this: how might you respond differently next time? Because here's the truth. Our 5th and final question, "Don't you remember?" may be the most psychologically damaging of all. But now that you can recognize it for what it is, a manipulation tactic, you've already taken your power back. Let's quickly recap the 5 deceptive questions that liars often use. Don't you trust me? Why would I lie about that? Can you keep a secret? Who told you that? Don't you remember? These aren't random questions. They're part of a calculated system, tools in a manipulator's arsenal, used to confuse, isolate, and control you. But now that you recognize these patterns, you're not just aware, you're equipped. You've begun to build a kind of psychological immunity that most people never even know they need. The question is, what will you do with this awareness? Will you be the person who watches, nods along, and goes back to falling into the same old traps? Or will you be the one who acts, who uses this knowledge to break the cycle, protect yourself, and support others? That choice is what makes all the difference. Start simple. Trust your gut. When one of these questions comes up, notice it. Keep notes if you're dealing with a known manipulator. And most importantly, practice the response strategies you've learned. Over time, they'll become second nature. Your clarity will grow. Your boundaries will strengthen. And don't keep this information to yourself. Share it with the people you love. Because when we all begin to recognize these tactics, their power begins to crumble. Right now, there's a suggested video on your screen. It's been chosen to help you keep building on what you've learned today. If you found value in this video, click on that next one. Keep sharpening your mind. Keep building your psychological armor. And remember this: real communication builds trust. Manipulation destroys it. So choose wisely who you let close, and never, ever feel guilty for protecting your peace from those who don't deserve it. Stay strong, stay sharp, and never stop growing.